I just start here.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Have you ever read The Lord of the Rings? How about Les Miserables or The Great Gatsby? Chances are you said yes to one of those. These books are classics, the cream of their time's crop. But why exactly did these books stand out from the rest of the perfectly good novels of their generation? I'm Andrew Jewell, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. What makes a classic a classic? One of the most important factors into making a book a classic is its characters. Its characters must deal with the same issues as readers, and authors must weave a vivid tapestry of detail around their characters to engage the reader's senses and bring them to life. One of the most famous examples of this classic trait is Jean Valjean from Les Miserables. Jean Valjean's moral struggles about choosing his own interests over the interests of others plague him throughout the entire novel. He even goes so far as, at one point in the novel, to turn himself in to be imprisoned to save another man who was going to be prosecuted for his crimes. Charles Dickens also uses characters of a classic caliber. One of his most famous characters, David Copperfield, from the book David Copperfield, deals with the common issue, who am I inside and who should I be? Throughout the novel, this is shown by the people he's friends with. At the beginning, he's friends with Steerforth and many other rowdy friends. He's eventually married to Dora, who's a very adapted maiden. And then, at the end, he finally marries Agnes, the practical one, and ends up happy. Perhaps one of the best people using characterization, however, is F. Scott Fitzgerald, especially in his book, The Great Gatsby. Gatsby deals with the issue of where is happiness, something that everybody would like to know. The entire story is truly the story of Gatsby confusing money with happiness. He even tries to buy Daisy's love. Believable characters are essential to set books apart. Plot is another important factor in creating a classic. The book's plot must captivate readers and pull them into their imagination. One of the most favorite trilogies of all time, The Lord of the Rings, snatches readers' attention on page 1 and never lets go until the One Ring is destroyed. Every twist and turn on Frodo's perilous quest brings rocks into sharper and crisper detail. In contrast to Lord of the Rings action, however, Sherlock Holmes' complex crimes draw readers in. Sherlock Holmes' brilliant intellect and truly superhuman knowledge allow him to solve these unsolvable mysteries. Sherlock Holmes never could really exist. His stores of knowledge are simply too vast, expanding from sea life to dirt. He's really not an identifiable character. He's more of a plot device, practically. Holmes's charisma and style, however, continues to draw readers back to Doyle's crowning success. Even a story as simple as The Journey to the Center of the Earth enthralls readers time and time again. Though science disproves this idea every time, still readers love to hear of this world lost beneath the Earth's surface, and the lengths a professor, his cousin, and their guide would go to escape. Plot will always contain the ability to make or break a book's bid to become a classic. Perhaps the most important factor, however, in making a novel a classic is its theme. To endure, it must have a new perspective on the human condition, a bond to every reader's soul. Classics like Lord of the Flies speak across the ages to every generation through views on mob mentality and the dangers of the ignorance of childhood when Piggy is murdered at the hands of innocent children. Many people may even see things like this firsthand at some point in their lives. One of John Steinbeck's greater works, Of Mice and Men, casts a long shadow through its story of loneliness in which Lenny, the gentle giant, accidentally kills a woman. Lenny's companion George is his only protector, but in the end must kill him to save him from a worse fate. Also, Lenny's dream of living off the fat of the land is a common theme in literature. Of course, this theme of unobtainable perfection, the undisputed master of, is Ernest Hemingway. His code hero archetype is practically built off this assumption. The code hero spends their life assembling rules, a set of rules to live the unattainable dream of perfection. Nick Adams is one of the most famous characters. His many short stories feature Nick, and they pursue him from childhood all the way to maturity, and he's always building more and more rules. Themes must pursue us in the same way, captivate our souls and stick in our memories. So, character, plot, and theme are determining factors in building a classic. I hope I've added to your enjoyment the next time you read a popular book, so now you can make your own decision about whether it'll be a classic. Take Harry Potter, certainly a book most people have read. But will your children's children still be exploring that mystical lightning bolt scar? Only time will tell us. Thank you.
Can you tell us why you picked this topic?
Well, I've been an avid reader from a young age, so I think my dream job right now is I think I want to be an English teacher, and so I've been sort of thinking, and this has sort of been on my mind, for quite a while, trying to figure out why are these books good, because hey, they can do it, actually, if I can figure it out. So it's always sort of been a thing that's interested me, like why are these books still around, and then some books, nobody's read, and some books everybody's read, so it's like, why are some books different? And so, yes, that's why.
I thought your slide design was interesting. Tell me how you came up with the idea for that particular.
Well, I wanted to have a relevant background, because sometimes I've just done sort of boring, the normal, things. So I went online and I looked and I found the image and I was like, oh, it works. And so using that, and I wanted to use that as the background. And at first, I was just going to have the text without the thing behind it, but that wasn't going to work because you couldn't see the text without the thing. So I put that behind it, and then I wanted to have some room on the side with images. And I've done speeches before, and so I've sort of, after some practice, I sort of figured that's sort of a good, efficient, sort of clean.
Okay.
This area for this is. There you go.
So you would share with me that this is your 5th project.
I don't know if it's my 5th. I don't know how many I've done, but there are many. I don't remember how many.
Of your many projects, what made this one different, and what were the differentiated learning experiences?
Well, let's see. Well, it was fun. I'm also concurrently writing an essay on the same topic, so it was interesting to see the differences between an essay and the speech, and things that I needed to do in the speech that didn't work in the essay, or vice versa. Things that I had in my essay, and I wanted to translate that, but it just didn't work. So I had to change it around. So that was a good experience, I think, and always to do some research for it. You get to read a bunch of books, which is always a learning experience. Every time you read a really good book, it's like it should add to your experience, right? So
there's such a variety of books that you've gotten. Do you have a favorite genre of your own?
I sort of like to do some more thriller books and fantasy stuff, but there really aren't very many classic books of that, sort of things. But I've been enjoying reading some classics lately. I think over the summer I'm going to try and redo a bunch of the Dickens stuff, especially because I've read several of them, and I'd like to read some more after having thought about this, go and see.
So did you actually read every one of those books?
Not every one. I actually haven't read The Lord of the Rings. Surprisingly, the one fantasy one I haven't read. So and that one I tried reading it, and I sort of get bored after the first book. Right?
I want you to know I appreciate your honesty.
Yes, but most of the other ones I think I've read. I've read David Copperfield, Les Mis. I don't remember. I've read all the Sherlock Holmes. I've read a lot. Yeah, I think pretty much all the other ones, which is really rather amusing. The one fantasy one. So there you go.
Did you feel comfortable up there presenting?
Oh yeah.
So that's something that
it's not the presenting. Yes, I've done it before. Yes, I was just out there emceeing too. So this MC costume. So I'm seeing some acts and stuff. Yeah, I've done lots of. I'm doing a volunteer recognition speech later, also at the end of the showcase. So be ready for that, right?
I thought your conclusion was very interesting. How you took the information that you just presented to us and applied it to a book that is more modern and trying to get people to look at it with a more critical eye. How did you come up with the idea to conclude in that way?
Well, so, that's sort of the point of being able to figure out, this is why they're classics. Now, that's one of the reasons why you want to know it, right? Because then I don't recall exactly when it came to me, but it's just sort of how I ended up deciding to do it, because the conclusion was the last thing I wrote of the entire speech, and I think I was just like, okay, so let's apply some of the knowledge,
I thought that was a good idea.
There you go.
Well, it leaves the audience with a question, too, for them. How do I rate any book that I read?
Exactly. And then after I'm doing this, I've been reading some other books that are, less popular and stuff, and I'm like, see, this one's missing the theme. It doesn't really have a moral or whatever. This one's that one's not going to be a classic, although I still like to read them, It's like,
Did you coach your brother?
what?
Did you coach your brother?
No. Just do it on his own.
Just curious.
If anything, you should be coaching me. All right, so there you go. Is that any other questions?
Any questions for us at all?
Aside from how you think I did, let's see.
What was our answer to that?
I asked the same thing.
There was a ceremony later.
Okay, and so thank you for.
Yeah,